The Neo 2 has been out for almost 6 months now, and I'm still convinced that this is still the best drone to buy, despite the existence of the new DJI Neo 1 and X1. But first, before we discuss any more drones, how good is it that we can spend more time outdoors, as we've had a terrible winter in the UK? The Neo 2 is also my second drone, my first drone being the Mini 4 Pro. And I've been using it more for survey work and professional video work, anything else. But the Neo 2 feels like a friendly camera person, although a little bit annoying and loud, following you around autonomously, and it's bundles of fun and it has bundles of personality. And I really do think that this is the gateway drug to drones. I'll tell you why in just a moment, because first I need to talk about today's sponsor. Psych, got him. Actually, on a more serious note, just before I press ahead with the rest of the video, if you do buy this drone, or any drone for a matter of fact, you should always respect your local drone laws and codes in your area. Also, don't be one of those people that flies a drone whilst driving into an active emergency scene. If you're like me, who lives in the UK, you will need to register for a flyer ID. You can do this at the CAA's website and you'll find more information there, and go and check and sign up for a flyer's ID. It's completely free, by the way, as of right now. And happy and safe flying. Now, back to the Neo 2. The Neo 2 is DJI's entry-level drone, replacing the original Neo. Over its predecessor, it adds the omnidirectional obstacle sensing system. My God, a mouthful. Using vision sensors on the top and the bottom, as well as a front LiDAR sensor, as well as a little screen to tell you what's going on, what mode it's in, which is really cool. And it's got a cute little LED, so if I do that, hopefully, oh no, doesn't want to do it right this second. However, it has a cute little LED which will tell you what status it's in. So the little screen here, you can see, sets up the QuickShot modes, which are basically autonomous short flights, which it can set up with 3 buttons just on the side here. So there are 8 QuickShot modes to pick from. One is follow, which is what it says on the tin. It'll follow you around any direction or distance, reasonable distance. Droney, which extends diagonally going upwards. Circle, again, goes around in a circle. You also have rocket, which goes vertically up. Dolly zoom, which is a technique where you zoom in digitally or optically, but the camera's moving away. Creates a really cool effect. This uses digital zoom, and you do get mixed results, so optical is better, but hey, it's nice that it has it. It also has boomerang, which flies around in an oval, then a circle, and helix, which is a spiral but goes upwards like this. You also have selfie shot, which is like a personal camera person taking photos of you using the 12 megapixel camera. These all can be applied to the subject of your choosing by a simple tap on the screen on the app, or dragging on the remote controls here if you're using one of these two. Let's talk about the main camera. It's a 1/2 inch sensor which is capable of up to 4K 100 frames per second for slow-mo, as well as 4K 60, which is more reasonable, and takes 12 megapixel photos. It's actually really good in daylight and also in low light too. This is pretty respectable up to ISO 6400, but ISO 12800 or 12800, it does fall apart, but that's actually okay, because you really shouldn't be flying this drone at night, as there's no LEDs, bright LEDs at least, apart from the one on the front, because that's no good, that's not bright enough. You do need a light source to fly this drone, or some type of light like the Mini 4 Pro has just down here. That's because the CAA governs it, so there's no way of doing it on the drone natively. However, there is a third-party option, which is you can buy one of these little things. They're really cheap. They are £9. Oh, crap. And I flashbanged myself. One moment, please.
A few moments later.
Oh man, that flashbang really got me in the eyes, man. Jeez. Anyway, back to the video. The drone has prop guards around the props, as you can see here, with the top part being detachable, which is a good thing because it's detachable and replaceable, although it does feel flimsy but really stuck on well. So you don't have to worry about the drone hitting anyone and causing too much harm. Though with this design you do lose some flying performance, so much so that I've seen people hack off the bottom bits and take off the top prop guard, when flying FPV. More on that later as well. I was able to go on walks and the drone did an amazing job avoiding hedges, lampposts and even parked up cars. It does a pretty good job with tree branches, though it should be noted it can't deal with really small branches or twigs or overhead power lines. And it did actually hit a few twigs and small branches in my testing, but it seemed really unbothered. That's thanks to the prop guards, though if a twig did get in the way inside the propeller, it could cause a crash. In general though, the performance is really good in daylight. But as soon as the conditions start to get dark, you're on your own. Is what I would have said if I was flying my Mini 4 Pro. But thanks to the LiDAR sensor at the front, at least you have some protection at the front. Okay Dim, so how do we control the drone then? Well, we have a few options, but the best way, in my personal opinion, to fly the drone is simply with your phone, where you have traditional controls if you need them in a pinch, as well as QuickShot modes, all accessible and configurable in the app. Voice commands though, I haven't really used this, and my favorite setting called quick mode is just setting on follow mode and just using gesture controls to waving my hands in the air like a madman, or you know, just pretending I'm using the force to control the drone is really cool. Also, once you're done, you can get it to land on your hand by just putting your palm out and it will just fly to you and just land on your palm, which is really cool. While you can fly this manually with a phone, it really is not the best way to fly, as dealing with the small little cramped touchscreen is not ideal, and also the range over Wi-Fi isn't great. DJI claims 500 meters, but the absolute best case is 50 meters at best if you're in a heavy RF signal, radio frequency signal, or there's lots of objects around. So 50 meters is what I found. Your mileage will vary. So that's where the traditional controller comes in. Most likely you'll be using the DJI RCN3, which has a phone mount to put your phone in and that access the display, or my preferred option, which is the DJI RC2, which has an inbuilt display, so no smartphone required. Both will give you a max range of 10 kilometers when you pair it with the DJI Neo's 2 digital receiver, which is sold separately, which will increase the weight of the drone to 160 grams. It has most of the features of the phone standby alone app, which gives you finer manual controls. The last way of controlling the drone is in FPV, which requires you to strap this bad boy onto your face with your eyes looking at the 2 displays inside. This is the DJI Goggles 3, which is a nice bit of kit. It has 2 full HD screens, which are micro OLED and has a 100 Hz refresh rate, so things look a little bit more smoother. It also has diopter adjustments, so for our friends that are short and long-sighted, you can use this to adjust your eyesight. You can also adjust how far apart they are from your eyes. And it also has a fan to prevent steaming off of the displays. It also allows for pass-through, so if you need to see the world quickly around you, you can. And you can just tap back and it will go back to FPV mode. The only downside is this is $579. Yeah, but most likely if this is your first drone and you buy this with a combo pack, you will get the Goggles N3, which is just the same thing, just pared down. You get a 1080p screen, just the one for both of your eyes instead of the 2, and they're at 60 Hz, and it's an LCD screen. And there's no pass-through. But there is at least a fan to prevent it from fogging up. There's no diopter adjustments either, but you can also wear the glasses, your just regular prescription glasses, which is great too. And it is $229, so half the price of the Goggles 3, if you do buy that by itself. Okay, so how do you control it? So, great question. So, you can use the traditional controller, which this. You can also use the Motion Controller 3, which is basically a wand. I'll put it on the screen somewhere, which seems to be the most fun and easy way to fly it, though I don't have that because I decided to go expert mode and decided to get myself this. This is the DJI FPV Remote 3, and it allows you to set it into full manual mode, and I crashed it a lot. This mode requires so much precise skill before you fly it that I had to use a simulator to get some practice, and even then you'll still spend time getting used to it. I haven't, by the way. Your motor skills have to be really fine. Your motor skills have to be really fine, and there's no computer to help you hover or keep it level. Now, why do you want to fly full FPV mode then? Why do you want to fly full manual mode, Dim? Well, you can do some pretty cool tricks that you just can't do with a regular cinematic drone. And they're also, traditional FPV drones are really fast. In fact, they were used in the Winter Olympics. The Neo 2 isn't technically a full-fledged FPV drone. It's actually really underpowered. But I thought this was a great way to learn FPV and what I plan to do over the summer. The drone sits at a crossroads of what kind of drone pilot you want to be, which is really great at this price point. Now, if that scares you like it does with me, crashing a drone, maybe consider a DJI refresh plan if it's in your region. It's only £25, and for 2 years, for a replacement, it's kind of worth it. £28 or £88 if it does get lost, which works out just over half the cost of the drone. And it's quite a painless service too. Or, you know, you can completely ignore it or just have no access to it and just don't fly FPV because you will crash it and probably break it. But at least what I love about this drone again is it gives you choice on how you want to fly this thing. Now, there are things I don't love about this drone, such as the parts of its design. I've gone to 2 of these drones already, and I've only had it since November and I haven't flown it a lot. The first one had to be replaced because the tracking wasn't working correctly due to a damage on the optical sensor on the top. And it was totally self-inflicted by the drone in its autonomous modes, and DJI was happy to send a replacement free of charge, which is pretty nice on their part, to be fair, as they could have just turned around and go, no, I'm not doing that. However, it feels like a bit of a miss, as it doesn't allow for user replacement lens kits like they do with the Avata 360 drones. So you can just remove the camera lens and put a new one back in if you scuff it. DJI requires you to send this back. Portability is also a bit of an issue for me. It's not a massive drone, but it's a bit of an awkward size, so it doesn't really fit into my camera bag really well. And I can just toss it into another bag, but if I've got other stuff in there, it'll just make it a bit of a mess, and I just don't like that. And I just don't want it, because it's a nice toy, you don't want to damage it. So it is a bit awkward, whereas the Mini 4 Pro and even the lighter series drones, or any mini series drone, you can kind of fold them out quite nicely and it fits quite nicely in the bag. Also, due to the nature of this drone, it's not really happy being at 120 meters high. It does it no problem, but as soon as a bit of wind picks up, it doesn't feel too happy. Whereas compared to the Mini 4 Pro, it has an open prop design and more powerful motors. It's a lot more happier than this, and this is more happier being close to the ground. Also, this lacks an SD card slot, so that means you're stuck with the 49 gigs of storage. For 4K 60, it isn't a lot, so you know you'll find yourself offloading footage more frequently if you plan to record a lot of those walks. Speaking of long walks, how's the battery life? The battery life is only 10 to 12 minutes generally in my testing, which is fine for those short flights, but DJI states 90 minutes of battery life. So if you plan to shoot all day, be sure to get a couple more batteries, like I have here, and maybe bring a battery bank. Although it does charge quite quickly, I will say that. Also, another annoyance of mine is the features aren't all the same across all the controllers or the phone. So dolly zoom and master shots are missing from the controller. By the way, I didn't really explain what master shots was. It's just what the drone or what the controller thinks, what DJI thinks are the best shots at the time. But those are completely missing here from the controller. But using the phone, you can't control the sharpness of the drone's camera quality. So out the box, it just looks overly sharp when you're using the controller. You can amend this, but you have to use the controller, which is really annoying. DJI, you need to fix this. Now, not really negative as such. For the price, it lacks some pro user features. DJI doesn't offer any native ND filters for this, meaning if you want things to look naturally smooth using the shutter speed, you'll have to rely on third parties, which is no bad thing. I've got third party ND filters right here. The problem is there's no kind of official solution to this. So third parties have to figure this out, either using a magnetic mount or using a clip-on right at the back of the drone. This camera, not ideal. There's also no raw image support. And while it's impressive it can go up to 4K 100 frames per second, there's also no log recording. So editing photos and videos is limited. Another omission is it lacks 24 frames per second for people who prefer film and cinema frame rates. To a lot of people, these things I just mentioned, people aren't going to care. Instead, does it take good photos and videos? The answer is yes. You'll have a ton of fun when you do it too. This drone is really aimed at content creators who post online on their socials like Instagram and TikTok and aren't really bothered about log recording. Or, you know, they're just a budding drone pilot. Okay, so have I convinced you to buy this drone yet? If so, what bundle do you buy? Well, if you're like me, who already owns other DJI drones, most likely you'll own the controllers for them too. So skip the drone only version and also skip the Fly More combo with the 3 batteries and 2-way charging hub. Great battery charging system, by the way. Better than the Mini 4 Pro. The latter is only on sale on Amazon, by the way. So get the Fly More combo with the RCN3 controller. Wait, what? But Dimmy, I already own a controller, you might say. Well, by the time you factored for the battery Fly More combo, you'll need to spend another £19 on the digital receiver, taking you up to £308. And that's if the digital receiver is in stock. When this was released, I had to wait 3 weeks for mine, and also on Amazon, they seem to be inflated prices, so your mileage might vary. And also £41 for an RCN3 at that point is a bit of a steal, considering this is £105. You could either sell it or keep it as a spare. Guess who found out the hard way? This is the bundle I recommend to most people, or everyone, unless you want to fly FPV straight off the bat. Just remember, you'll have to account for an FPV3 controller if you want to go full manual mode, as the motion controller is bundled in instead. But it seems to be a bundle of fun, just like the Neo 2 as a whole. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you do, please make sure you like, comment and share. Maybe subscribe if you haven't already. If you've watched this to the end, I can't thank you enough. It really helps me out. If you're interested in watching another Neo, maybe consider watching my review and first video on the MacBook Neo. Also, I'll have affiliate links to the drone and all the gear I used. I do get a small kickback too, so please use the link if you do want to buy anything. And on that note, I will see you on the next one and keep doing good.